Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ultimate Freight Podcast. This is Joe Gianosa with Ultimate Logistics, here to help you navigate through the choppy waters of this crazy freight market. I wanted to start out with a little bit of good news. The unemployment statistics for the month of March just came out on Friday, and they look pretty good. 916,000 jobs added in March, and the unemployment rate went down to 6%. Now, that's still 2.5% higher than pre-pandemic levels in February of 2020. But job growth was widespread in March, from leisure and hospitality to public and private education to construction. Again, definitely a step in the right direction, though, at 6% unemployment compared to where we were at. And by the way, National Retail Federation is calling for imports to set all-time record highs from now on into the summer as consumers keep spending money on goods. A lot of people have been cooped up for a long time. And now a lot of people have extra money with the stimulus, and they're spending it on all kinds of different things. Booking trips and things like that and going out to restaurants. A lot of people thought those industries would be, high, in which they are. They're definitely recovering at a high rate. But I don't think the online sales and things like that were expected to be quite as high as we're seeing right now. So you're having a lot more things being shipped in and consumables being shipped in. Go look at IKEA and different furniture stores. Furniture is actually the number one most bought thing, but with people's stimulus money right now, is furniture for their homes. And so there's a lot of pent up demand when it comes to that, and furnishing people's houses with their stimulus checks, as well as consumable goods and things for their house, video games, stuff like that. A lot of things are being shipped over from China and causing even more congestion, like we talked about last week. And it's just going to keep getting crazier. So, by the way, I spoke last week about volume all around the country, and tender rejections when someone has a contracted rate. So a shipper and a carrier have an agreement on the price they're going to pay for a certain lane that they're doing. 45% of those are getting kicked back to the customer. It was a little over 50% we saw right after those winter storms a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago. And then they started dropping last week, just getting under 50% again. And now 45%. So you're seeing a slight pullback. I talked about last week how a lot of shippers wanted to get orders off of the books and ship their stuff right before the quarter ended and the month ended in March. And you saw that big time. A lot of volume driven rates last week, spiking up the market. But now that that's over, we're really getting into the first quarter. Typically, you'll see after Easter, you'll see a slight decline and a pullback of freight right before you get into the summer. And the reason why is because produce season hasn't even really started yet. And so you're going to see a lot more refrigerated trucks being pulled off the market for that produce season. And so we'll be able to watch out for that. But right now, enjoy a little bit of a pullback. Should see some slightly lower rates than last time. One of those markets I can think of is Chicago. Chicago has notoriously been a very competitive freight market. It still is. It's still really, really high up there. They're still getting, they have way more to ship out than they are getting coming in. However, it is a little bit lighter now. So if you're shipping out of Chicago, I know for my customer, we were able to quote a little bit lower this week than we were last week, going from Chicago back to the Bay Area. If you're going to Chicago, it's actually going to be more competitive than it was last week. So you're seeing that little bit of drop in volume have the effects. So, and by the way, weather this week, things are warming up for the middle of the country. You can see rain in the Pacific Northwest. That's nothing new. Snow in the Northeast. That's nothing new either. But I know I have family in Michigan. They're sending me pictures. It was like snowing the last couple of days, but now you're going to see it warm up a little bit from the plains. So you have the, Kansas City all the way down to New Orleans. You're going to see those high temperatures, but also some rain in the middle of the week and thunderstorms. So I don't think that should affect the freight market too much. But again, you're seeing the highest volumes ever for shipments and imports coming into the country. And some of those ships have rerouted, and because there's so much traffic in the ocean right now, they're going to the larger ports. So we'll see how it shakes out. But when that happens, a lot of customers contract trucks to get those products from the ports out to their centers that they need to go to instead of using rail like normal because they're already so far behind. So just look out for that. But again, these next couple of weeks should be a lot more tame than they were the last few weeks. But expect that trend to keep kind of going up as far as the freight market and prices continuing to rise. These are unprecedented times. You're going to see the slight pullback now, but just get ready for when produce season really hits in the next week or so, and expect those rates to keep rising. Because those rates rise, a lot of customers are looking for ways to save money. And so what I wanted to talk about today is LTL, and specifically, we specialize in refrigerated LTL and offering that service to our customers. It's something we've done for a while now, and we've been very successful at it. So I wanted to share some thoughts and tips and ideas for you, if you're considering going LTL, or maybe if you've done LTL before but didn't have the best experience or didn't get there in a certain amount of time. I'm going to help you navigate through that. So LTL is a great way to go. Again, for those of you that don't know, that stands for limited truckload. So instead of booking your own 53-foot trailer and paying for your own truck, going from point A to point B, you're basically sharing space with other customers. And so the truck will be able to, and the company will be able to book space through multiple customers, maybe 6 or 7 different customers. And they put those shipments on the truck, bring them down to their consolidation center, wherever that might be. And then maybe you got a truck going to the southeast and another one going to the northeast, or maybe they just go one place. It depends on, the capacity and what kind of service the LTL company offers. But they'll consolidate it and then bring it out to those points. Let's say you have LTL in Northern California. Well, most LTL companies in California are based in Southern California. Most freight in California is in Southern California. And so what they'll do is they'll send a truck up once a week, typically on a Thursday, and they'll go make pickups in the Northern California area, typically the Bay Area, and they'll send a local guy up there. So he's making, or girl. So they're making pickups in Northern California on Thursdays. They'll come down on a Friday. They'll get down to LA Friday. They'll unload the truck, consolidate it, and then put it on a line haul truck out to a specific destination where they're going to make 5, 6, 7, 8 different stops. Your stop being one of them. Now, if you have extra time to ship and you don't have a full truckload worth of product to ship, that's when you want to consider LTL. Everyone's different with their customer situations. It depends on what you can do to temper your customers' expectations or try not to overpromise and underdeliver. But if you can give it more time to get there, then you'll have cheaper freight costs if you can manage to do that and set your customers' expectations. So let's just keep it simple with shipping out of California. Let's say you're going to New Jersey with an LTL shipment. Well, if you picked up out of the Bay Area, you'd pick up on a Thursday. Again, it comes down to LA, delivers on a Friday into LA. They consolidate it. That truck will usually leave out early Saturday morning or sometime during Saturday. You want to give it till the end of the week to get there. So if you're talking to your customers, you want to let them know, hey, it can pick up on a Thursday and deliver the following Thursday, Friday. I've seen my freight deliver on a Wednesday. I've seen it deliver on a Thursday. I've seen it deliver on a Friday. I've seen it deliver a couple days later the next week, depending on problems at shippers and receivers and things like that. So if you have that amount of time to get it there, I'd highly suggest doing that. The opposite is true, though, if you have time sensitive freight. Let's say you're trying to make a container in Virginia. Okay. And if you have a container to make in Virginia and you're having something picked up on a Thursday out of Northern California or the Bay Area, and you need it on that container the following Thursday, I mean, chances are pretty good that it'll get there, but it's definitely not guaranteed. And it's not the same success rate as a full truckload. Now, that doesn't mean these drivers are lazy or, don't want to get it there on time. These guys definitely want to get it there on times, especially because they're paid by the mile and they want to do things as quickly as possible. The way it is right now in the freight world is all of these receivers are backed up. Typically there's long wait times, but none of these receivers want or shippers want to budge on these appointment times. Now I think if it's an LTL appointment, I've seen different centers really hold to that appointment time, and it has nothing to do, it's no fault of the driver. Maybe they were in a receiver for 9 hours and then they get out, it makes them late for their next appointment. There's nothing they can do about it, and that receiver makes them reschedule, sit around, go get another appointment. It could be another day till they get an appointment, or two, or they just say, oh, we don't have any appointments until next week. There's no give there, and that's one of the problems right now. No matter if you're shipping full truckload or LTL, there's a lot of wait time everywhere, and these places are really hammering down on appointment times, and not there's no give there. Now, a lot of these places charge for being late or charge for rescheduling the appointment. So you'll see that that's a profit center for them, plain and simple. They work it into their outlook of profitability every year. And they say, hey, how much can we make from late fees? How much can we make from rescheduling fees and appointment fees and things like that? It's just the nature of the beast. So um, just know that if you're sharing a truck and you have the ability to do that, you have the time to do that, do it. But just know that sometimes it's completely out of the LTL carrier's control if your freight's gonna make it there on time or not. They're not being lazy. Trust me, they want to get your stuff off and don't want to be late. And they definitely don't want to get involved with having their guy wait around and paying late fees and yelling with brokers and things like that. You don't want that to happen. So anyway, if you have a shipment in Virginia that needs to be there on a Thursday, has to make a container, then don't ship it LTL, because you're just banking that it's going to get there on time, that Thursday to Thursday schedule. That's what should happen. That's what normally happens, 80, 90% of the time. But anything could happen when you're sharing a truck with other customers, because you're just hoping that these other deliveries will go okay. And some of the times they don't, especially in this current freight market. So, by the way, the higher the pallet count that you book, the less you're going to pay per pallet. So, try and avoid 1 to 3 pallet orders wherever you're shipping. So maybe you have 2 pallets that are ready and you're shipping out of the Bay Area going to somewhere in Texas. Let's say you're going to Houston, Texas with 2 frozen pallets. Well, if you're going to have that same shipment the next week and your customer's okay with it, or you pre-framed your customer and you say, hey, I'm going to get you 4 pallets in 2 weeks, that's a lot better on your cost, because you're paying for a 4 pallet rate instead of a 2 pallet rate. And it's going to be a lot less per pallet that you're shipping. So again, depends on your customer and the situation and everything else. Sometimes I know you really have to get that product there to save the customer. But especially when you're setting up new customers, set that expectation right away, that you'd like to ship as much as possible one time, and that's going to save them money in freight costs. And by the way, LTL shipments, let's say you have, 8 pallets coming out of Los Angeles going to Texas. Okay. you can ship that LTL. It's probably going to be cheaper than shipping a full truckload. But if you know you're going to have 8 more pallets the next week, then don't ship it LTL. Just combine them, wait till the next week, combine them for a full truckload, and then go from there. Some of my customers, I do this for my customers all the time. If they have something, let's say, shipping out of Los Angeles, and they have, 4 pallets going to Georgia and another 12 pallets going to Florida. Well, um, with how high LTL or full truckloads are right now, typically it's better to ship those separately at LTL. But if they're shipping at the same time, you can just make it a 2-drop load and have a full truckload go to Georgia first, then down to Florida. Again, it just depends on where the market's at, how many pallets you have, and what the weight is and everything else. But typically it's less expensive to just put it on a full truck and go from there. So let's see. By the way, make sure your weight and pallet counts are correct when putting out a quote. LTL shippers or LTL companies, they typically go by pallet count, but they also go by weight. So there's usually a cutoff, like 1,500 pounds per pallet is usually what you're looking at, to be able to fit as much freight as they want within that 26 pallets on a 53-foot reefer. If every single one of their pallets were 2,000 pounds, well, that would be 52,000 pounds that they're putting on the truck, and you can't put that much weight on a truck. So they upcharge you if your pallets are heavier than normal. So don't just go off pallet count. Don't just go off of weight. You want to make sure both are correct so you get the right quote. Now, sometimes, and I've experienced this plenty of times, where we will book an LTL shipment for a customer. The carrier will come in expecting 4 pallets, and all of a sudden it's 8 pallets that they try and ship. You're at the carrier's mercy at that point, and you have no control over the situation. Will they have room for the extra 4 pallets? Who knows? You don't know. If they have room, how much are they going to charge you? Some of them get mad and I'm just going to charge you the same rate per pallet because I know I got you. Some drivers and LTL companies definitely think that way. And so you want to make sure and don't put yourself in that situation where the pallet count or the weight is higher than usual, or even if it's lower. You booked the space. If you booked the 4 pallets and the driver shows up to the facility, a lot of times refrigerated LTL companies will charge you if you're only getting 3 pallets on the truck, they'll charge you for that 4th space anyways, because they don't have an opportunity to rebook that pallet space if you try and change something within 24 hours. And some companies say, hey, I know I got this LTL shipment. A new LTL shipment just came that we could do, and LTL and put it on the full truckload and making a 2-drop load. That would save us money. So they go ahead and cancel the LTL order for the original order, but it's within the 24 hours, and that carrier is going to charge you for the space anyways. So again, you just want to make sure you have your pallet counts and everything well ahead of time, and your weight, and confirm it with that shipper. Sometimes customers don't send the proper paperwork to the pickup location. So they'll talk about it, but they didn't have the right stuff. So when the carrier comes in to pick up, they say, yeah, we don't have the order ready. We need approval from the customer. Some drivers will stick around and figure it out. Some drivers won't. If you have the wrong PO number for something, some drivers will stick around, some drivers won't. That's why it's advantageous to use brokers who are available 24/7, especially if you're shipping LTL or full truckloads, because one little thing that goes wrong in the shipment process, the whole domino effect can happen and something doesn't get picked up. And if you can't have a broker that knows what's going on with your freight, or that tells these companies, hey, I need the driver to call me if there's any problems, any questions. It doesn't matter if it's 24 hours a day, if it's 3 a.m. here and 6 a.m. on the East Coast, and a PO's incorrect or some little thing is wrong. you want to make sure your broker can fix it with that driver and that the driver doesn't take off. Not all drivers are created equal. Some of them will just take off and go to the next pickup because they're stressed out about time. Some will wait, call their dispatcher, tell them what's going on. So a good broker will have good relationships with their carriers and expectations of them to always communicate a problem. And brokers that are available all the time will get more communication from those carriers to fix the problems. So again, try not to make any last minute changes. Try to make sure your information is correct, and things will generally go well. But if you can give it a little more time to get there, LTL is definitely a way to go. So, like I said, Ultimate Logistics, we specialize in refrigerated and booking refrigerated LTL orders. So, if anyone's in need of that, let us know. You can go to our website at ultimatelegisticsInc.com or call me at 209 613 6865. Hope these tips help, and I will see you next week.